The first thing that I'd like to do every morning is stretch. For me, it's important to do this because it really wakes my body up, but it also helps with injuries that I've had, and it also prevents further injury. I've created a stretching routine that works very well for my body and how I live my life. I'd like to show you the stretches I do, but I'd also like for you to be more aware of what your body needs and how you can prevent injury or treat injuries by the simple act of stretching each and every day before you actually start. First stretch I'm gonna do, very beneficial for your lower back, but also your shoulders. I've had injuries to both these parts of my body, so that's what I focus on first and foremost. So this specific stretch that I do first every morning really focuses on my lower back and my shoulders. Not only does it stretch them out, but it actually strengthens them at the same time. So here we go. This is what's known as the Superman stretch. You're gonna be laying flat on your stomach. You're gonna have your elbows at a 90-degree angle. Your feet are gonna be together. And simultaneously, you're gonna raise your arms and your legs to a point where you're feeling a bit of tension. Your arms are gonna be trying to pinch your shoulder blades together, and your legs are gonna be trying to basically raise up to the point where you're wanting to hit yourself in the head with your own feet. It's impossible for me, but that's the intent. When you get to the point where you feel some tension in your back, you're just gonna hold it there and release. As you release, just let everything go, take a couple nice deep breaths, and then prepare to do it again. For myself, I do a minimum of 10 repetitions each morning, but for the sake of time right now, I'm just gonna do it twice. That's it for the Superman stretch, and from that stretch, I will always lead into what's known as just a basic child's pose for yoga. This is good just to release any tension that might have been built up from exerting our lower back. Just kind of releases everything, gets us ready for our next stretch. From there, I will go into releasing some more pressure on my back. This next stretch is to open up our thoracic spine, relieving tension on the muscles that connect to our spine. I call it a thoracic awakening. We're gonna lie down as if we're in a fetal position. With our knees bent, we're gonna have one hand fully stretched out, the other one on top of it. From there, we're gonna take a very concentrated and deep breath in. When we take that breath in, we're gonna open up. We breathe all that air out when we have our other hand flat on the ground, then go back to our original position. From there, I'll begin opening my chest. To do this, really, really important that we're aware of how our posture throughout the day affects our shoulders and our chest. We're just gonna do a very simple movement. We're gonna open our arms. Once we've opened our arms, we're gonna begin crossing our arms over. This is gonna really feel good on your shoulders. And it's gonna lead into our next stretch, which is gonna be very beneficial for healing our shoulders if we've suffered any shoulder injuries, or if we have very tight pectoral muscles, which a lot of people do. Our next stretch is just very, very simple. It's very important that you do this very slowly. We don't want to damage anything when we're in the process of trying to heal ourselves. So we have to be very aware of what we're doing. This next stretch, I can't urge you enough how important it is to do this slowly. You're gonna have your arm flat out. With your other arm, you can use a block, or you can just use your hand, or you can have your knuckle. All you're gonna do you start lifting up. Nice and slow. Focus on your breathing when you do this. I would recommend 3 deep breaths and then raise up a little bit. The next stretch that we do is also to help our chest and our shoulder, relieve any tension that's been built up there. It's very, very important that we do this stretch as well with proper care, not rushing, being aware of our body, having a good mind and body connection. If we're doing something and it hurts, that's not what our goal is. We don't want to force ourselves through pain to try and heal ourselves. That's kind of counterproductive. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take either our right or our left arm. I usually start with my right. I'll put it across my body here like this. Pretty much so that your arm is in line with your pectoral. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna do very, very slowly and with care. And I'm gonna be connecting my mind to my body, listening to my body. If it tells me to stop, I'm gonna stop. But I'm gonna begin to roll my body towards this hand in a very, very safe manner, nice and slowly. Again, breathing through our nose the whole time, focusing on our mind and body connection is very important with these stretches. Just give it a nice little stretch out for a second. And then you can proceed to do the other arm, as I said, directly across your pectoral. Stretch it out as far as you can in a comfortable fashion, and then begin to gently roll towards your open palm. So for myself, that takes care of my shoulders, a little bit of my back. I generally do one more stretch for my lower body, and it's basically just to open up my glutes. Throughout the day, we're constantly bending, twisting, turning. It's important for our glutes to be activated before we start these activities. So what I'll do is I will literally cross my leg across my body, and I will literally just sit. My chest and my knee, the center of my chest and my knee are in line with each other. We don't want to be out of alignment. We want to be in line. And I will slowly begin to bring my chest down to my leg. Thus, when we start our day, this is going to seem impossible to do this routine. Some of us have children. Some of us start work very early. If we really, really focus on trying to make a bit of time and make this part of our daily routine, we'll soon realize that the things that we think we don't just have time for suddenly become a lot easier because we see the benefit. So for myself, that ends my stretching component where I'm just using my own body. Then I will incorporate what's known as a foam roller. For myself, I can do these stretches in most places. You can do them in a lunchroom, in a corner, off to the side. Wherever you have a bit of space, you can do it. Feel some tension in your body in a certain area. Important that we relieve that tension so we're not carrying it around through the whole day. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our hip right here. It'll feel like a band. It runs down your hip. When we have tension in our spine or in our hips, it pulls. It'll actually create a lot of pain on our lower backs, and we'll think we might have a back injury, but it really could just be that our hips are too tight. For myself, this was part of the problem after I had a back injury. Band that's right beside our pelvis. Roll on that. When I first started doing this, it was very painful for me to do. It took about a week before I could do it and not feel uncomfortable. When it finally actually relieved the tension there, it was like my hip melted, and it felt so good. Finally, after years and years having that tension being held there to finally relieve that tension. As I said, for many of us, this is going to feel very uncomfortable. For myself, it took about a week for me to be able to finally relieve the tension that was built up over years of neglecting my body and holding negative energy in my hips. But it was very, very beneficial to finally have that release from that tension. When you feel like you've done that, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna do the other hip. From there, we can do our hamstrings. Very beneficial, very easy to do. We're basically just gonna be in a seated position. We're gonna take our hands. I always like to have my hands like in a knuckled position, because when I have my hands like this, I sometimes find that I'm putting too much pressure on my wrists. So I'm kind of aware of that now, and it works better for me. We're just gonna nice and slowly roll those hamstrings out. So once we've done that, we'll go right into our calves. We use our calves every day so much when we walk upstairs, and anytime we're walking, we're always activating our calves. It's nice to be able to relieve some of that built up tension that we create on a constant basis. For many of us, when we start our day, this is gonna seem impossible to do this routine. Some of us have children, some of us start work very early. We really focus on trying to make a bit of time and make this part of our daily routine. We'll soon realize that the things that we think we don't just have time for suddenly become a lot easier as we see the benefit.